There he is, in court yesterday, and he's been imprisoned. Ross Longhurst, for not paying his council tax. So, where do you think we should go? Let's go and visit the magistrates' court and see what they've got to say about it.
That's a good idea, let's go see.
Well, Simon can't do anything for 2 weeks.
Why is that?
Because that's where we always set our board press. They stand behind the press.
So is there a law saying we can't film here?
Just asking you to see if you can move it behind the flagpole, please.
Is this not public property? So it is public property?
Is it against the law? Thank you. Is that an order, sir? Thank you. He's calling security.
Cool.
Just what we wanted.
Yeah.
Well, what seems to be going on?
Well, we know that this place sent a man to prison, and it was a man to prison, for allegedly not paying council tax.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you get me wrong here or right or whatever, but is there any law that says you have, a man, Ceylon, has to pay council tax?
No.
No. Oh, so they're basically using statutes and acts to send people to prison for nothing. Something they've got no lawful right to do.
You see, there's no justice. It's just us and it's them.
Yeah. Corrupt. The police are corrupt. The governments are corrupt. The council are corrupt. The council, of course, are part of the government.
They're all in it together, mate.
But this is why the council get away with issuing their own fake liability orders, because the UK has its constitution as such, but each council is like a franchise of the government. So they have their own constitution, and in their own constitution, they write that they can issue anything they like. So they issue liability orders. In fact, I have a document on me here, which is about Rushcliffe Council, and in it, it states that Rushcliffe Borough Council issue warrants for arrest. Now, tell me if I'm wrong here, but is a council not just a council and not a court? Is it not a court that is supposed to issue a warrant? And yet we've got councils issuing warrants. This is unlawful. Absolutely, totally unlawful.
Do you know the council hire this place and the magistrates on the Thursday in order to enforce council tax payments? And the council say that it's illegal not to pay the tax. Where does it say it's illegal not to pay council tax?
It's not illegal. They're using statutes and acts. Statutes and acts apply to people, persons, the legal fiction. Not a man or a woman. They don't apply to them. This is totally unlawful what's going off here, and it's been going off for far too long. We need to bring it down. People should come here on a Thursday, go into the courts where they issue these liability orders, or they write, stamp them. Now, in court, under court procedures, every case has to be taken on its own merit. Now, if you go in there, you'll see them rubber stamp, say 250 warrants or liability orders.
Enforcement.
Totally breaking the law. This is how you know that what they're doing in there is unlawful. It's corruption at its utmost. And what's worse, the courts know about it, the government know about it, and they're giving consent for it to be carried on.
Are they all in it together?
They sent down that 72-year-old man, 28 days for non-paying council tax, which there is no law that says you have to pay council tax.
Or any tax whatsoever.
Like I said, these council tax liability orders and everything are issued against the person, your all capital name, which is your legal fiction. And unfortunately, the chap went in there and stood there and said, yes, I'm that legal fiction. So they got joined up between him, and that's why they sent him to prison. If he'd gone in there and said, I, the man, Bob Smith, do require you, whoever makes the complaint against me, I require the complainant here to give evidence. Just under habeas corpus, you're allowed to challenge anyone that's giving evidence against you.
Is there any precedent for that working in court?
Yes.
Which cases has that been effective in?
There's a case recently, it was in Wales, where they were trying to get a warrant of entry to fit prepayment meters, and the chap, before he went to court, issued his paperwork into the court saying, I, a man, require the plaintiff to stand in court for evidence and be cross-examined. They issued that paperwork before he went into court, the day before. Now, either what happened there was the N-Power said the court, is there any paperwork there? And the court said, yes, don't bother turning up, you've already lost. Or the court's called up N-Power and says, somebody's coming in as a man, not as a person, so N-Power, you've lost already. And the reason they've lost already is because when you say, I am a simple man, and I require the plaintiff in court to give evidence, the plaintiff has to be N-Power, a man. Now, I'm a simple man, and if someone wants to call themselves N-Power, that's fine. But when they come to court, they better be N-Power, the name. That better be their name, because that's who I'm expecting to see, a man called N-Power. And of course, as we know, N-Power is a corporation, and a corporation can't stand in court. When you go to court and you say, I, a man, you're flipping jurisdiction to common law courts. And in common law courts, only men or women can be heard. So N-Power didn't even turn up for the court case because they knew they'd already lost.
The issue, I guess, is in the case of Ross Longhurst from yesterday, that if he had taken that avenue, that would have placed focus on those issues, and they were drawing attention to council tax issues specifically in relation to austerity being put in by local councils. So I think he would have felt that that would detract from what he was trying to do, because he wanted to show that Labour councils, city and county council.
Absolutely agree. And hats off to him for standing up for what he believed. If anyone else was going to go into court and do that, I would go in as a man. And like I say, get your paperwork in before you go into court. The reason for that is, if you don't get your paperwork in, you can walk into court, you can say whatever you like, they don't have to listen to you. These places work on paperwork. You get your paperwork in beforehand saying, I'm a man, they have to treat you as a man. They will try and flip it back to their jurisdiction, but all you need to do from there on, any questions they ask you, it's all in your paperwork. You've heard them in Parliament, place of lies, where they give an answer that's nothing to do with the question that you've asked, but whenever anyone else asks the same question, they'll say, I refer you to my previous answer. So in here, you get your paperwork in, they ask you any question you like, it's in my paperwork, it's in my paperwork, it's in my... You just keep saying that, just play them at their own game, because if they do get you to trick you into switching it back to civil jurisdiction, they can do what they like with you then, because they're then classed as a person again.
I understand what you're saying, and I understand the angle that you're coming at. Do you think that that is sufficient? You know, this legal route challenging things is sufficient, considering all the ways in which we're fucked over?
The trouble is, legal is unlawful.
Right. How are you?
Well,
Better today.
Good.
The thing is, I mean, we had the security out earlier telling us we can't film here. And we asked them, is there any law that says that? He says, no.
Is it against the law?
The press normally stand behind them flagpoles.
Yeah.
And I asked him, is this public land? And he wouldn't answer, because he knows it's public land. If I'm a member of the public, then I can come here. So we're waiting for security to turn up if at any moment.
They kicked me out of there for recording interviews today.
They don't let us in sometimes, even just going in, they don't let us in sometimes. But
wow, how do they explain that?
One of the lads, they said he was going to be a Mackenzie's friend, and they gave orders that he wasn't allowed in the court. Now, the Mackenzie's friend, everyone can use a Mackenzie's friend, but this court decided that they weren't going to allow the man, even though he wasn't actually in court or going into court. He was going to try to get into court, but they wouldn't even allow him through them doors.
Right.
All corruption, totally corrupt.
Nice talking to you, cheers.
Thanks.
All the best.
If you want to see any of these videos, you'll probably see them on Get Out of Debt Free, which is a website I run.
Yeah.
And we've also got two...
What's your name?
I'm still on.
Nice to meet you.
Get Out of Debt, and that's him.
Right, just me.
Okay, cool.
You.
Cool, Stephen.
We,
nice to
me,
meet
them.
you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right,
YouTube channel is Sri Lanka Sea, all one word, or King Abdullah Key. We'll put them out on both channels.
All right, nice one. Cheers.
Cheers.
All the best, guys. Well, the nice security guard hasn't moved us. There were two policemen that walked straight by and didn't say a word. So, is it against the law to film outside the magistrate's court? The answer is
no.
Thank you, Salon.
Now the family and youth courts. This is where the most horrendous crimes are committed against children. They basically call it a private hearing because they don't want you, the general public, to know what's going off. And they, just like in the rest of the courts, they use all sorts of lies and deceit to steal others' children away from them. And this has been going on for far too long. And the worst thing about it is when these children get stolen away, they're then passed on to the paedophiles, like the BBC, the Parliament, and of course the royals, who love their children.
The camera, mate. He's not a cripple. Let's go and see if he comes out again. He's recording. What's that warning sign on the front?
I don't know.
It is an offence to take photographs,
Ooh.
record video clips or make audio recordings of any court proceedings including... yeah, I can zoom in. There we are. Go read it out if you like.
Yes, it's an offence to take photographs, record video clips or make
Audio recordings of any court proceedings including
of any
person involved in those proceedings
person.
without the consent of the court. Any person found to be in breach of this notice will be reported to the police and may be fined or sent to prison. Right. Well, prison is for slaves, a jail is for where people have done wrong. And a person is not a man or a woman.
Can I have a picture talk? Can I?
Sure.
If you want. How you doing, buddy? What's your name?
My name is Ashley King.
What have you got to say about the courts?
Courts, not a very good place to be.
No, definitely.
No, seriously, not a good place to be.
Here comes the security man.
Yeah. No. Ain't come to twist me up today, no.
If you want to see these videos later, they'll be on Sri Lanka C's YouTube channel or King Abdullah Key's YouTube channel, or
YouTube.
Yeah, or if you go on to getoutofdebtfree.org, they'll be on there.
Yeah. What, is this on record now?
Yeah.
So all of my conversation
Yep.
here? Wow.
Thanks very much,
Free all
man.
my dons. Yeah.
Thank you.
See you in a bit.
Well, apparently there's nothing to worry about with if you can't afford your property or your taxes anymore, because even if you're 72 years old and you know it's getting a bit hard to pay some bills, council, they have a way of dealing with it. Yeah. What they'll do if you don't pay their bills, they'll put you in prison. Don't think it will happen. They can't, but they have. Why? Because they're frightened. Want to find out more? Get out debt free. It's the only place to be. Love you.